Hello everybody, Dave the Maverick Beekeeper. Welcome to my channel. Anybody who's new, you're also welcome. As you can see, I'm in slightly different surroundings. I am back at work, however I've got a different job to do for a couple of weeks, which means me staying in a hotel. So it's just one room exchange for another. Difference being I haven't got orange overalls on. So this is how you're seeing it. Right. Where have I been for the last couple of weeks? As you can see from my channel, I've not put up any videos because I've been on holiday, and my holiday took me to the Highlands of Scotland, Glencoe. Now the weather was fantastic, which is unusual for Scotland, and I managed to bag a few photographs of some early season flying, and you can see them in the photographs coming up now. I've got this camera which I'm trying to get used to and use it properly rather than just point and shoot and take crappy photographs. So hopefully that they're turned out well. They look pretty good. So onwards and upwards. Another mention will be to a chap called Aris Matheson, who sent me an email, and on the email was a video attached where he has constructed a dry pollen feeder, suspended tube, just normal plumbing tube, with a shroud on the end which protects it from the wind and weather. It looks pretty good. The design's sound, and thank you Aris for that. That will go into my armoury for use later on, perhaps when it comes to maybe dry pollen supplement feeding. Open feeding is not one of the things I was looking at, but you never know. Never say never. So the purpose of this video is that, if you remember from my last history video, I put it into 3 parts. This is going to be the same. Now this is about ancient beekeeping in Egypt. A lot of information. Again, I'll do the same format, keep it nice and simple, nothing too difficult to understand, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. Remember, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll be much grateful. So again, thank you for your support of the channel, and without further ado, we'll get on to the ancient Egyptian beekeeping. So enjoy, and I'll speak to you very soon. The honeybee was a favoured insect of the ancient Egyptian world, and was associated with kingship and that of the gods, and featured widely in ancient texts and tomb monuments. According to Egyptian mythology, honey was included in several religious rituals and presented as offerings not only to the gods but the dead. Historical evidence suggests that it was interwoven into the way of life, and it is believed the ancient Egyptians were the first to practice beekeeping in history. The earliest evidence of such practice was as early as the 5th dynasty Old Kingdom in the Sun Temple of the King of Nyasera, the picture here, and is a pictorial scene of beekeepers. Ancient bee in its nature. As we know, the scientific word for honeybee is Apis mellifera, the species that we are no stranger to and much is known about. The Egyptian honeybee was native to the Delta and was called the Apis mellifera lamaraki, a smaller and more aggressive bee than its European cousin. The warmer climates in the Egyptian Delta were ideal for this species, and as water was readily available, they were able to survive a lot longer. The Delta region gave all what was required to be successful. Moreover, the Egyptian honeybees built smaller, more robust colonies, and harvesting honey was done by removal of comb. The Egyptians used 2 types of beehive. They were the long pottery vessel, the oldest being long jars with 1 entry. A variation of this was a cylindrical construction with 2 openings, which allowed inspection of the interior, and the first recorded practice to allow artificial swarming. The name and usage of honeybee hieroglyphs. The native honeybee was used by the ancient Egyptians even as early as the 1st dynasty. The bee was known as in hieroglyphics, and it is shown here, and is the same word used for honey. As time passed, approximately 3,500 years BC, the upper and lower ancient Egypt were united under one king, and was indicated by the hieroglyph shown here, and it was declared, "He who united 2 lands," or "He who joined sedge to bee." As time passed, the bee was frequently used in ancient Egyptian texts and history down to the Roman period. But it was associated with royal ideology, designating the king as sovereign. This was indicated by this hieroglyph and one of the names of the red crown, which was worn by the king. The bee and some of the religious beliefs. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, the sun god Ra, pictured here, wept tears that fell to earth and became honeybees. So the wax and honey were made from tears of Ra and closely associated. He was not the only important deity associated. The goddess Neith's temple at Sais was called the House of the Bee and appeared in a pyramid text as a bee. Words were uttered and words to be said. You are the daughter, mighty in her mother, who appeared as a bee. Another goddess, Nut's inscription read, words to be said or uttered. Nut, you have appeared as a bee. You have the power over gods, which is pretty heady. In one of the festivals of goddess Hathor, pictured here, in her temple at Dendera, honey was prohibited from being eaten, and this was associated with the god Ra, who had a strong tie with Hathor. However, was mentioned among the offering list of the Opet festival depicted in a Luxor temple. Honey was considered a sign of fertility, sexuality, with ritual scenes of offering honey with Ethiophalic deities commonly found in the temples of Dendera and Edfu. Among these gods was Min, pictured here. Individuals known as Fatai priests were probably temple beekeepers, whose task was to supply honey for his rituals, and Butai priests responsible for collecting wild honey from the desert under the control of Min. In other rituals like opening of the mouth, honey was an essential part of the religious offerings, as the bee and honey had a strong connection with the soul's resurrection. Ancient Egyptian literature metaphorically linked bees to the creator Num, pictured here, who is considered a laborious bee. The caves of the east and west are thought to have been connected by a passage where the dead gods are sheltered to sleep. It is believed that they awaken at the passage of the sun god, and their voices are like a swarm of bees. Historical evidence of beekeeping, Old Kingdom. Evidence shows that the earliest depiction of beekeeping was noted in the temple of Nyuserre, dating 2421 to 2445 BC. This was the 5th dynasty at Abu Korab, north of Absir. The relief was originally located in the Chamber of Seasons and is now in a Berlin museum with other collections. It contains 4 scenes: extraction of combs and the preservation process, and confirmed in hieroglyphic inscriptions, which translated is hymning, filling, pressing and sealing of honey. On the far left of the relief depicts a beekeeper who is kneeling before the containers, that they are in the shape of pipes, probably made from mud or clay type material. He is collecting honey and in his other hand holding an oval object. Speculation is that it's a primitive smoker. More than likely it's cow dung. Others say it's used to core the queen and trap her and manage the swarming instinct. Furthermore, the word pictured here on the top of the scene might depict the action to blow or to create air current, or speculation could mean to make a little sound, or hymning, which confirms the calling sound of the keeper. The importance of beekeeping in the Old Kingdom did not cease after the reign of Nyuserre, but continued during the reign of Unas, 2345 to 2375 BC, the last king of the 5th dynasty. By the end of the Old Kingdom and during the long reign of Pepe II, 2184 to 2375 BC, honey was a valuable commodity and an important trade. Sabni, the governor of Aswan, made several trading expeditions to Nubia and took with him gifts of 100 laden donkeys loaded with honey oil and other commodities, which was depicted on the walls of his tomb. Well, that completes part 1 of ancient Egyptian beekeeping. I'm hoping you've enjoyed that and got something out of it. Remember, like, subscribe, comment below, and as always, I will see you on the flip side of the brood frame. Thank you folks, and see you soon. Cheerio.